You think you guys got a lot in common?
Some aspect.
Since he is the monarch, you would assume that you two have a lot in common. Terence Crawford, in preparation for his fight against Israel Madoff, has been training with Floyd Mayweather, but as of right now, I have to put CER as #1, and after a sparring session with a 50-0 legend, Terence Crawford had much to say about Floyd and even spoke about the comparison that boxing fans had always tried to draw between him and Mayweather. Mayweather has had the accolade of training many great fighters over the years, with the likes of Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, and Dane Davis being beneficiaries of Floyd Mayweather's wealth of boxing knowledge. His latest trainee is Terence Crawford, and he did have some words to share with his fans of his time with Floyd Mayweather. Well, you might wonder why Terence Crawford, a professional fighter with 40 fight experience, was seeking Mayweather's help at such a late hour, a few fights away from his retirement. His reason isn't far-fetched, however. Terence Crawford's next fight marks his debut at 154 libs. As a result, he turned to Floyd Mayweather, who is a former world champion at the same weight class, for some lessons. Recently, in an interview, Floyd Mayweather brought back memories of his famous fight against Canelo Alvarez at the weight class that gave the sport of boxing their whole life, and sacrificed a lot inside that square circle. They should feel that way, so if he feel that way, more power to him. I have fought once, and it was at a catchweight. However, it wasn't my idea. Anyone can search online and find this. It was an article. At one point, I think Canelo assumed that I was afraid of him, so he said, "Flatout doesn't want to fight me. I'm willing to meet him at 152 or 152 and a 12 PBS. I called his bluff and said, "If you want to do it, let's do it at 152 or 152 1/2. But after Canelo made the weight, it wasn't like there was a clause prohibiting him from gaining weight. Instead, he weighed 152 or 1522, I believe, or close to 170. But I came in at 151 or 152. It was an article, so Canelo said, I believe Canelo at one particular time thought I was afraid of him. You know that I am afraid him, so he said, Frederick don't want to fight me." Though boxing fans have repeatedly compared Terence Crawford to Floyd Mayweather Jr., I'm willing to meet him come at 152 lbs or 152. Perhaps Terence Crawford felt this was good enough for him too. Since he had so much to learn about the new weight class he'll be moving to in less than a month, but declined to take away the 50-0 boxing champion's legitimate awards. Since he is the monarch, you would assume that you two have a lot in common. Terence Crawford respects Floyd Mayweather, and he also said he's the king in response to a question concerning their commonalities. Crawford congratulated Floyd on his accomplishments and said, "We have quite a lot in common in some aspects, but we're a little different because I take more chances earlier in his career than he was taking in his career." Excuse me, right now, but earlier in his career, he was taking a lot of chances as well. It just depends on which Floyd Mayweather you're talking about. I mean, you're talking about money or you're talking about Pretty Boy, because Pretty Boy was the seeking destroyer. Then he started having hand injuries, so he couldn't really keep up with the same power, and he was moving up and fighting bigger money. Or do you talk about Pretty Boy? 'Cause Pretty Boy was the what is seek and destroy a fight. Like Crawford said, they have quite a lot in common. However, boxing fans and supporters have compared both fighters to discover the better fighter. And when they did, a news source put Crawford as the likelier winner of a fight between the two fighters. When it comes to pure boxing ability, you'd be hard-pressed to find another producer of more sweet science masterclasses than Floyd Mayweather Jr. is going to reach on the left HS again, and the lightning hands, the left hook drops him, and the crisp jab precision timing and counter-punching ability all empowered Mayweather to pick his long list of opponents apart. And he did it over 2 iterations of himself. Just as Crawford said, pretty boy boxing fans are still in awe of what Crawford did to Spence in his most recent fight. Whether it was a power jab that he repeatedly snapped through Spence's guard punching in traffic or the timing of his counterpunches, boxing fans are still in awe of what Floyd Mayweather Jr. accomplished. Floyd was the more aggressive boxer, taking the fight to opponents, while Money Mayweather years later would compute and edge opponents out with brilliant boxing. Whichever style you prefer, though it wasn't Bud's first time, we've never seen him display such superior boxing prowess against a fighter of Spence's skill. When it comes to pure boxing prowess, perhaps no one should be given an advantage over. If Crawford were to fight Mayweather in his prime and use his lasering shots against Mayweather's disciplined sweet science, who would assert the jab first and who would be the more effective counter-puncher? There are so many ways this could go wrong that it might be best to declare this category a Mayweather but Crawford's style of boxing is different yet effective, even explosive in his own right. How would their boxing stack up? How many times have we seen Mayweather slow before enticing his rival to the center of the ring, where he processed, examined, and uploaded a blueprint to dissect them? As an undefeated five-time division world champion Crawford and undisputed junior welterweight champion, Mayweather took his ring IQ and mantra of hitting without getting hit and practically wrote it into the Hall of Fame. Since then, welterweight fighters have demonstrated a high ring IQ throughout their careers. Bud has the speed advantage over Mayweather despite his 50 victories, thanks to Crawford's slicing angles and whiplash delivery. Mayweather showed good hand speed, particularly when counterpunching. Compared to Crawford's 40 victories, 27 came via knockout, with 31 of those victories coming via knockout. And he's still active now. Re-enter Crawford's wizardry over Spence dropping him 3 times en route to a dominant 9th-round TKO, decimating a power-punching body-snatching fighter like Spence, who systematically broke down Kell Brook, Sean Porter, and your Dennis Hughes to become the unified world welterweight champion, was anything but easy, yet Crawford made it look easy. And his power was a big reason why Mayweather painted in the corner, raising that shoulder into the Philly shell and absorbing shots with his arm, while using his free hand to pick his punches, was defensive boxing, turned counter-punching at its very finest. Defensive fighter of all time. I mean, that's how strong everywhere. And then he's nowhere you think you, and again, it's not just hand quack. This Crawford has some slick defense to him as well. But Mayweather took defensive boxing skills to another level of damn near perfection. All dreamed of how would Crawford against a prime Mayweather fight actually go, and who would win after a tease first round where each boxer is trying to feel out the other. We see Crawford being the more active and busy fighter early on, launching and landing shots even if many of them are absorbed by Mayweather's shoulder and elbow. By the middle rounds, Mayweather style would set in as he'd pepper Crawford with jabs, spanking some rounds the way he makes a miss. Moving away from the comparison. Moving up in weight isn't as easy as it seems to many.